Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This morning, the Attorney General released findings of the Task Force on American Iron and Metal. The first finding was that the information submitted by the company for environmental assessment by the Department of Environment, as required under the Clean Environment Act's environmental assessment regulation, was insufficient and did not adequately address key environmental issues such as fires, explosions, and the potential release of contamination substances. Mr. Speaker, this is a damning indictment of the EIA process and of the Department of Environment's capacity to carry it out. The EIA process is supposed to ensure the environment and public health are not put at risk. It's supposed to have our backs. It's clearly failed, Mr. Speaker, just as the Department of Environment failed. Will the Attorney General bring this 36-year-old law forward with changes so that New Brunswickers can be assured it will actually have our backs?
Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
Well, thank you for the question. And the role of the task force was not to go back a number of years when this was done. That doesn't mean that we should, avoid or skirt the issue. The member is quite right in his reason to bring that up. Anytime there is a major issue like the AIM fire, there properly should be an after-action report. It should be reviewed, it should be looked at, it should be properly analyzed, and if there are ways that it should be corrected, then we'll take those ways. You have to understand, and I'm not shirking anything like that, you have to understand that the environmental pendulum has moved more and more in a particular direction. This was 13 years ago. Things have changed. He's quite correct in the suggestion that perhaps this legislation should be looked at as part of an overall review as to how it got us here. So thank you for the question, and I appreciate the member raising it.
Thank you, Minister. Member for Fredericton-South and Leader of the Party.
Mr. Speaker, the Attorney General presented findings from the task force which exposed a complete and utter failure of the enforcement arm of public safety. Assurances by the company that no hazardous materials would ever be brought on the site have proven to be unfulfilled. This conclusion was reached after, 181 recorded explosions and 22 fires prior to the fire of September the 14th. The EIA said the height of the scrap pile at AIM should not exceed 6 meters, when in fact it was 12 to 15 meters high when the fire took place most recently. This represents an utter failure of environmental law enforcement in this province, Mr. Speaker. How could this state of affairs have gone on for so long? Why did the Minister of Public Safety fail to take enforcement action when informed by his officers that hazardous materials were present at the AIM site? Or was he in the dark?
Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
Mr. Speaker, I can assure you that he was not in the dark, and nor was it being avoided. This site was an ongoing process. It started out at 4.6 acres. It grew into 26 acres. Product would come in, product would go out. Some days it would be this height, some day it would be this height. There would be some shredding, some shipping, some boats, and everything like that. It would occur. It is a constant moving target all the time. There is a presumption at law that people obey the law. People are expected to comply with the law. And when something like this happens, we look into it, we investigate it, we see what the issues are, and I can tell you, we will examine this, we will look at this, we will make sure that this doesn't happen again. We are also directing that all junkyard salvage dealers in New Brunswick, every single one of them, are now being reviewed, looked at to make sure that they are and will continue to be in compliance.
Thank you, Minister.